Yes, lion's share. Well, hold on. That's the lion's share of the troops to make it possible.
Indoctrination. I think right now, a foreign adversary, right? So at normal, was keep pointing on China, but the whole thing is most Canadian, many, okay, small population, otherwise Marshall stop me, ignore the fact that the the U.S. southern border have been porous for 40 years, and Hezbollah, Iran, China.
What does that have to do? What does our southern border have to do with the discussion about our relationship with Canada?
For 40 years, the infiltration, indoctrination come through southern border all the way to Canada. Nobody asks about this question.
Okay, thank you for that, Dave. Interesting point. I appreciate it. We'll go to William, followed by...
Hey, everybody. I think we need to acknowledge and thank the Canadians for being a good NATO ally in one conflict after the next, and actually spilling their blood in defense of the same values that the United States tried in the past to uphold. And we never had to worry about building a wall between the United States and Canada because those were our peaceful neighbors and our friends to the north. They weren't adversaries. And could they spend more on military? Sure. In fact, they are. And they're moving up. And they're going to buy from, the United States even expressed some doubt about whether or not they would honor Article 5 in certain circumstances, not with respect to Canada, but just in general. And the Canadians have stood with us and spilled blood. And now they're going to, the United States has moved from being a leader of NATO to being a vendor to NATO. And other countries are starting to doubt, is it really allies when we're threatening our NATO neighbor to the north, where we're threatening the Kingdom of Denmark, of which Greenland is a part, which is also a member of NATO, with expansionism as if we were Russians or as if we were Chinese, and you know, it's kind of appalling that we're not mutually working things out in a civil way and defending our neighbors to the north, our other NATO allies. And I think that's a result of speakers from the United States. Generations of
Ontario, not the government of Canada, released. So that's why, listening to you, it sounds to me like you are suggesting, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, that this latest dust up over the Gordie Howe International Bridge is more personal in nature and less about NATO payments, for example.
No, the trade deal that Carney, like, first of all, I don't think it's been many years since the Canadian Prime Minister went to China. It's actually interesting. Like Canadians, like Canada, extradited the CEO of Huawei's daughter.
Okay, but what came first, the chicken or the egg here? Because we heard it argued by our friends that the only reason that that Carney is making these efforts with China is to diversify their global economic standing, because they put all their eggs in the United States basket, and the United States is basically pulling the rug from under their feet. And so Carney is doing what Carney believes he needs to do for the benefit of his nation. And so, which came first, the tariffs or the outreach to China?
Yeah, the tariffs came first, right? The
Right,
tariffs are
exactly.
the cause of the outreach to China, the let's say maladaptive way in which the connection, like the agreement, like Trump is pissing off Mark Carney. Mark Carney went to the biggest competitor, issued a trade deal, then went to Davos at the World Economic Forum, said the old new world, like the old order is gone. It's not coming back, and we can't rely on America anymore. And so it's interesting. I see this as a bunch of positioning leading up until Mexico, Canada, and America get together and come to a new trade agreement. That's supposed to happen pretty soon. It was a gamble by Mark Carney going to the biggest competition of America, but it was probably a wise gamble given the rhetoric of Donald Trump lately and the tariff. And it's actually interesting how like Russia and China are working together against American interests, and now an ally of America just went to the competition to work out a trade agreement.
Thank you, dude. By the way, Rob, anytime you want to jump in, please do.
I'm trying not to monopolize, but it's well documented that President Trump reacts on a personal basis, an impulsive personal basis, and that's kind of, frankly, don't you think could be interpreted as a juvenile approach? I mean, you can't. He everything about him is his personal relationships. If he likes you, if you make him happy, he likes you, and that misses the grander objectives of all countries. I'm trying not to talk, but because it's not fair it's not fair to monopolize when all these people have these interesting perspectives. But
Rob, it's why the UK's protest when he was first in office is the funniest of protests. They made him a naked crying baby, and I agree with you. I think only juveniles care so much about what somebody says, even if it's a joke, that they lose their minds. That happens on both sides of the political aisle in America, but I think you're hitting the nail on the head.
It reduces down to childish behavior. Like in this thing that Ford did, the Premier of Ontario, that ad that he put on that Trump was so resentful for, it just talked about Reagan not believing in tariffs. That's fair. That's not insulting. It's factual. And then they tried to say that it was manipulated, but it's true. Reagan was not a supporter of tariffs, as so many other past presidents were, both Democratic and Republican.
Yeah,
Trump is a different type of individual, very impulsive, very angry, very domineering. Look at the people around him. my God, they everyone's afraid to not acknowledge that President Trump is this. Look at we just heard this Hecksmith talk to these shipbuilders. If Mr. Trump did, President Trump did this, if President Trump, I mean, it just doesn't feel right. It feels like 200 years ago, a monarchy, a dictatorship. How people around him.
Well, you're not supposed to have to kiss the leaders behind in the United States of America to make things happen. Don't get me wrong. There's always been some sense of kissing the leaders behind, right? It's just been politer and more gentlemanly. The Trump is really crass, super destructive way. Like I will say this till cows come home. I never had an issue with President Obama. Believing he loved the country. Right? I may disagree with his politics, and I may have substantial disagreements with the way he governed. But the man loved the United States and its people. Donald Trump comes across to me as an American as somebody who cares first and foremost about himself, and then secondarily about everybody else. So if it's good for Donald, he will go ahead and...
Marshall, we're losing you to the Matrix. We're losing you to the Matrix. Sorry about that, Marshall. Thank you, Rob, and thank you, Jude, and thank you, Marshall. We'll move on to Brent, followed by Les.
Projection alert. That's a Marshall Rankin projection alert. Onto Donald Trump. People are using Donald Trump as their evergreen cast all stones. Hello. Hello.
To kind of keep a hegemony over a coalition together, but that coalition typically means more for you as a country or as an empire or whatever than not having it. You know what we're doing in Canada. If our concern's China, what we're doing in Canada is pushing them directly towards China, which should scare a lot of Americans. I mean, you see it was car deal, you can see it was Carney's speech. What we're doing in Europe is also deepening China's relationship with the Europeans. Same factors at play there. The previous speaker said, you're going to either, you're going to have to lay down or something like that. That if the other party is stronger than you. But the thing is these countries aren't laying down. And on the flip side, like an old imperial power, we're not actually taking the land. So we're not actually taking Greenland. We're not actually, with the exception of Venezuela, which I think is a somewhat unique case given how autocratic they are, with our traditional partners, they're not laying down. They're resisting. They are standing up to Trump, and Trump, at the end of the day, is folding. He folded on Greenland, I don't see Canada becoming the 51st state anytime soon. So you have.
Does that mean I can't cross the border to visit Rob without having to go through passport control?
Yeah, I think you're going to have to go through passport control for a while. So at the end of the day, you kind of have this imperialistic rhetoric that isn't actually achieving imperialistic goals of, growing your country and having people directly under your thumb, but yet we're also losing our coalition. So it seems like the worst of every world you could possibly be in, and it just... seems like the worst outcome possible for the United States of America. And, it's kind of a shame.
Thank you, Brent. We'll go to David, followed by Les.
Thank you. Just a brief note. It might not be important, but yeah, we sent them to China. They made a deal for cars, but they're not going to bleed into the border. There's 100% tariff on any Chinese vehicle that comes here. And frankly, Canada had to put a 25% tariff because of our dealings on any American car that goes up there. Friends that buy American vehicles used, and they would have to pay a 25% tax at the border bringing it in. I wasn't here the whole time. I hope I'm not repeating, but just a sense of how President Trump has treated our relationship with our an ally that sold us natural resources under market costs that we repurpose in forest products and oil and sell at a profit, and having a peaceful neighbor we've talked about. But I think that the election in Canada might have turned out differently if we hadn't raised the issue of the 51st state and made them, into a froth over Trump's way of negotiating. And often, it's been mentioned already, things backfire when he tries his way of negotiating. We pushed a lot of countries into China in his first administration. We backed out of treaties. They own half of Africa now as indentured servants that we've backed out of, and this is what we get from his policies.
Thank you, David. Les.
So I'm driving right now, and it's really not that safe. So I'm going to yield my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Les. Rob, you get the last word as our esteemed visitor.
Thank you. It was just so very interesting to hear the different perspectives. And that's the beauty in what you're doing, Gary. That is really the service of what you're providing, a platform for all of us to share our opinions in a gentleman and a ladylike manner. I am optimistic. If you want to know I don't want to sound like a little baby, but I think at the end of the day, I have to have confidence in President Trump that he'll recognize what all the things that were said today and put them all together, that he'll recognize with all his allies, all U.S.'s allies, that, we do have to work together. We have to be kind to each other. We have to be respectful with each other, but we have to take care of our own families. Charity, that old expression, charity begins in the home. So President Trump does need to tweak some things, and I think, in all fairness, he should do so. He should do so. But as a proud Canadian, and as a person who I'm a U.S. resident, incidentally. I'm a Canadian, but a U.S. resident, and pay taxes in the U.S. and love the U.S. And I feel it's my family. I feel things tomorrow are going to get better. We've had to deal with a new way of behavior. But at the end, I don't know, this value we have or this optimism that I possess, I think it will come together because, what's right usually stands at the end. What's right, what's sensible, usually wins out in courtrooms, in people, in countries. And I think things will be better. It's a tough spot right now. But I have confidence in the U.S. I really do. And I have confidence that President Trump will see the right things to do. And Canada has to understand that too. We have to understand that things are changing. Kearney's right. The outlook is changing. The feelings are changing. But the U.S. is still our brothers and our sisters. And I haven't lost my confidence in the U.S. And I hope they don't lose their confidence in Canada. So, Gary, thank you so much. I really enjoyed being part of it. You made me even a bigger fan than I already am. Thank Larry Kaplan, who's a mutual friend of ours, who's always pushing me to listen to you and to learn from you and to learn from your audience. And I have gratitude that I was part of it. And thank you so very much, everybody.
Hey, Rob, I hate to be this person that I've been out of relations for a long time. I got a question sent to me. Gary, do you have to run out the door?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I want to wrap it up.
Or last question. If you got to go, no worries. I totally understand.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think we're wrapping it up here. So.
Okay. No, that's
So,
fine.
but
Thank you.
thanks for trying to help them anyway. Blame it on me. So I want to thank Rob Katzman, Canadian businessman, for helping us with this. I want to thank Ronaldo Agostino, who is a Windsor City Councilor, or our equivalent of a city councilman, for helping us through the first hour going through this topic. If you guys think that we should bring guests on like this more often, let me know in the chat, which is linked above. Folks, we're here Monday through Friday from 6 p.m. New York time, so until 5 p.m. New York time tomorrow for the next edition of the Critical Thinking Forum. Everybody be safe, be well, and peace out. White coat on, but his heart's on fire. Laugh lines deep from the late night choir. Clipboard down when the parade starts. He storms the dark with a fearless heart. Dr. Dennis, pour us of Holy Spirit. When he calls your name, every shadow hears it. Heaven in his voice, courage in his eyes. Dr. Dennis, pour us of Holy Spirit. Breaking every chain when he walks inside. Hands on the wall, over broken bones. Soft amen in a waiting room tone. He don't flinch when the storm blows in. He just smiles, says watch God win. Oh yeah, Dr. Dennis, pour us your Holy Spirit. When he calls your name, every shadow hears it. Heaven in his voice, courage in his eyes. Dr. Dennis, pour us your Holy Spirit. Breaking every chain when he walks inside. He walks in faith, he speaks in peace, he lays it down at wounded feet. When the room feels small and the fear feels big, he opens his arms, lets the river in. Dr. Dennis, pour us of Holy Spirit. When he calls your name, every shadow hears it. Heaven in his voice, courage in his eyes. Dr.
Dr. Dennis, oh rush of Holy Spirit, he just points to you, and the dead things rise. White coat on, but his heart's on fire. Laugh lines deep from the late night choir. Clipboard down when the praying starts. He storms the dark with a fearless heart. Dr. Dennis, oh rush of Holy Spirit, when he calls your name, every shadow hears it. Heaven in his voice, courage in his eyes. Dr. Dennis, oh rush of Holy Spirit, breaking every chain when he walks inside. Hands run warm over broken bones, soft aiming in a waiting room tone. He don't flinch when the storm blows in. He just smiles, says one's gotta win. Oh yeah, Dr. Dennis, oh rush of Holy Spirit, when he calls your name, every shadow hears it. Heaven in his voice, courage in his eyes. Dr. Dennis, oh rush of Holy Spirit, breaking every chain. He walks in faith. He speaks in peace. He lays it down. That wounded feet. When the room feels small and the fear feels big, he opens his arms, lets the river head. Dr. Dennis, oh rush of Holy Spirit, when he calls your name, every shadow hears it. Heaven in his voice, courage in his eyes. Dr. Dennis, oh rush of Holy Spirit, breaking every chain when he walks inside. Dr. Dennis, oh rush of Holy Spirit, he just points to you when the dead things White coat in the hallway, fire in his eyes, hands warm like summer when he prays. Fear dies, name on the doorframe, but heaven in his voice. Every word written, every touch of choice. When you call his name,
break off hearts, wake up, we won't be the same. He walks in so quietly. White coat in the hallway, fire in his eyes, hands warm like summer when he prays, fear dies. Name on the door frame, but heaven in his voice. Every word a river, every touch a choice. He was dust on his boots, she was dirt on her dress. Met in the back of a church, both a little bit wrecked. He said, I've chased every thrill, she said, I've run every road. They laid all their plans on the altar, watched them crumble like old stone. To become true in the hand of the Father, heart in the heart, under one holy name. You and me, babe, at the feet of our Maker, learning to love by the light of His grace, wisdom and truth, making one out of two by the word of the Lord of all things. He forgets where he leaves his pride. She reminds him who he is. They still argue over small things, but they always end in a kiss. Open Bibles on the table, little fingerprints on every page. They're raising up a little choir, teaching tiny hearts to praise, to become true in the hand of the Father, the heart in the heart, under one holy name. You and me, babe, at the feet of our Maker, learning to love by the light of His grace, wisdom and truth, making one out of two by the word of the Lord of all things. When the storms roll over the valley and the dark feels heavy.
Keeping it old. Racism, fresh, tasty. You get it?
But I bet.
So don't tell me the riots are not doing in Alabama. Because of my PTR right now, those are some cotton picking prisoners, buddy. In your state,
It's not just black people on the plantation, it's white people too. It's any prisoner. So why are you trying to make this a racist?
I'm just saying Alabama still got cotton picking prisoners,
Man,
buddy.
listen, it's not targeted toward black people though. So I don't know your argument.
It's not?
No, it's for all prisoners.
It's not disproportionately black people in the Alabama correctional system?
The same way the Democrats don't like.
You know, Jen, I'm so glad that you posted. Excuse me. No,
You must not have heard what I said. I didn't say black people. I said cotton picking prisoners. I pick my words very precisely, my friend.
What's wrong with speaking part of the prison system?
King go. He tried to get in there. Y'all talking all over. Go ahead, King.
They also have some lawsuits and studies about the Alabama women's correctional system too, Gemini, because they still were chaining women who were about to deliver to the beds and making them return back to the hospital within a day. So their entire correctional system in Alabama and Mississippi is really, really, really jacked up. But Estefanos, where are you from? You sound like a Waria, or you sound like you're Eritrean too. You and Nathan sound like, Somali cousins.
He's Jamaican from St. Lucia.
No, he's not Jamaican. I can hear your aroma. I can hear your aroma accent from a mile away.
Why you mad, man? He's from St. Lucia.
Yeah, you sound like an Oromo.
Hey, we're not gonna do that up here.
It's really sad to see that young Black immigrants are just assimilating to white supremacy and being anti-Black this way.
It's not a
You heard me. You heard me the first time.
Go ahead. You can respond to her as Estefanos.
He anglicized his name. It's self-hate.
Well, I never understood people who don't put their real names, and no disrespect people who don't put their real names on here, but I always have there's a little bit of anti-Blackness to not be proud of who you are, like as an African or someone of African descent. I just think it's crazy.
Maybe he is one of those Italian Eritreans, you know?
Stefanos, who is your friend you wanted me to bring on stage, brother?
So may I speak about my incipient and burgeoning, fledgling Afro-Latino-ness?
I can guide you through this passage, brother.
There's a sister named Daniela Montero. Anybody know Daniela Montero?
Montero? No, I don't know.
She's a dancer. She's from uptown. And she always does the dance. I feel Bad Bunny has liberated me. I was stuck in this Anglophilic, let's read Walter Pater. Let's read Carlyle. I'm very interested in J.M.W. Turner's painting, The Slave Ship. I'd go to the Tate, the British Museum. I was a black belletristic devourer. James McCune Smith. I've never read anything better than David Hume. I was in love with the Anglo-American world. And then I saw that Bonnie on Sunday night. And I realized that somebody in my family should have been left on should have gotten off the ship in Colombia. They should have gotten off the ship in Dominicano, what they used to call Santo Domingo. They should have gotten off the ship at Cuba. They should have gotten off the ship at Puerto Rico. It is really, I feel good. I feel bueno. Baby, I feel bueno all over. That's what I feel.
You know what?
It's from Bad Bunny. And let me just say this. I'm not doing Panama, Gemini. Let me tell you why.
Wow.
It's too Americanized.
Wow.
It's too Americanized.
Wow.
The two ladies I used to see from Panama, different times, they had Black American heritage. I said, I could have got that back in Baltimore. You got to go.
It's not the same. You know what you told me, Go? You told me never to use anecdotal experience because it was too limited in its scope.
This is not
anecdotal. You can't get a true understanding from an anecdote.
Yeah,
here you are highlighting your anecdotal experiences that you're going to use to judge a whole country by.
This is not anecdotal. This is backshot-a-doodle.
Backshot-a-doodle.
Huh?
You know what? Maya in the chat had a good idea for you. She said, Ben Bonnie has been a lot.
So I've thought about that. I don't think I've earned that yet. I spent 5 years being a bitch-ass nigga. So I earned bitch-ass nigga. I haven't earned the right to name myself. It's for the DM. He responded to my DM. It wasn't an automated response.
How was it about?
And so it was not about money. He responded to me in the middle of the performance when he was waiting during Lady Gaga. He had his phone out. I saw it. He was responding to me because much like Sharon Moore at halftime was DMing that Instagram model, Bad Bunny was DMing me.
What's going on?
My God.
This man, Bad Bunny.
Their
They
passport.
don't come out when y'all see him have his coming out time.
Brother, I think they're showing us their new passport arc. Gemini and Band.
Passport.
Passport
for
Bros.
slave heritage.
I don't know. It sounded like you were going to be a
Passport, that's why I hit my
Screen toaster. Okay, it's a crazy thing.
Why you gotta flex on us with the LCD screen? I want to see that.
Listen, I have very few joys in life, but having a 4 bread toaster that has an LCD screen is an unnecessary.
That pallet chicken
Can you put patterns on your bread?
You say you got LCD, so that pallet chicken look at everything.
Wait a minute. Where was this home?
Listen, I can't have children. I have AI children. This is my joy. But in that time that I picked up this toaster that I don't need, I now hear Van talking about being DM'd by Bad Bunny. What's going on?
He also said he's going to change his name to Ben Bonnie.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. But I'm saying I'm not there yet. But I'm just saying, I DM'd him. I said, "This is really." It was. So there's a story. It's about a man. He was on the road to Damascus. You see, and he was all knocked off. Boom. Made you look, slave page rhyme book. That's what happened to me on Sunday. I've now watched this thing multiple times. This boy, Bad Bunny, the costumes, Gemini, the colors. Go look at the moment when our dear sister Lady Gaga, who I love and as I said is the greatest pop star in America, if not the world since Michael Jackson. I said it. If you have a problem with that, anybody in the chat, I've got 400 million Afro-Latinos you can take it up with. They're my brothers. And let me continue. During her performance, I want everybody to look at that soft, dark powder blue outfit she's wearing. Look at the shoes she's wearing. And then the male band behind her was in a dark crimson. The horns, of course, come from what? Europe. But the way they play them comes from what? That African life force. In other words, I don't need Joe Morgan. I don't need Miles Davis. I don't need Dizzy Gillespie.
What about something?
I don't need Louis Armstrong. I got my Latino brothers and sisters.
I don't need Joe Morgan. That is fucking insane. What is wrong with you? Okay, so get to the DM.
I told you, I DM'd him when she was up there. I DM'd him at that time, and he DM'd me back.
Okay.
Yes.
No, see, this is where the I'll just mute up.
Oh my God, Kimberly Foster said Lady Gaga follows us on her on Twitter. Wow. Yeah, Lady Gaga is. Sorry, brother.
Wait, really?
I'm very impressed by Kimberly Foster. That's very impressive.
No, that's awesome. That's very awesome.
That's a flex. My $40 toaster is just how sad my life is, but that's a genuine flex. Let's be very clear.
I don't understand. Part of what's so what I don't understand. I was in the room and listened to you all. Oh, somebody off mute. I don't understand how you people can watch that performance and not get a sense of the Kantian sublime. I was in awe when I watched that performance.
Yeah, it was amazing. Absolutely. We didn't all agree that was amazing, and that all of the. First of all, there were so many. I watched it 3 times today, and was amazed by all of the pageantry, the storytelling, and not having to know English. Not having to know Spanish. But yeah, it was absolutely emotional, and the pull, the beat, the drums, the feel. I mean, the plantation was a lot. I mean, it started off very heavy, very emotional. Yeah.
See the Black American. You see, this is why I decided that this is why I'm no longer Black American, because people like Gemini and Mimi and Black Muse and our sister Shah or Cher, and the Black Californians, their version of that is Serena Williams crip walking, while Kendrick Lamar is in $400 bell bottoms. Now, flare pants. Now, see, that for them is revolutionary. Bad Bunny came out and gave you a sugar cane plantation. So the problem with Black America is y'all are letting these Californians take over.
Now you got to stop, because you
ran Kamala Harris last year. No, brothers, I need to wake this up. And I, for some reason, decided to fall in that coconut patch. And I said, I'll vote for Kamala. And she for 2. Not only was she a Black from California, she was a girl. I should have said, wait, now. Why they gonna run the gal here? That's dirty gal. This girl can't beat the orange man.
my God.
But instead, here I am. I'm pro Kamala. I'm pro Gemini. I'm pro Ward Connolly. I'm pro this. I'm pro 49ers. I'm pro Black Muse in his Hawaiian shirt. What Black man wears a Hawaiian shirt? We should have known Kamala Harris was going to win when we saw Black Muse wearing a fucking Hawaiian shirt. You talking about an oxymoron. Your oxymorons is what? We got what? Army intelligence. Jumbo shrimp. Dreadlocks and Hawaiian shirt. The Californians can't win shit. They got cream. Fucking Californians running around. Shouldn't known the lady shouldn't have won. But instead, we've allowed them to take over Black America. They weren't even enslaved in California. They had to take a fucking trip 30 years later in the Great Migration. It took them till 1950 to get to fucking LA. Niggas had moved years before. They weren't enslaved there. They didn't build that. They didn't even come to state. I was telling the kids the other day. One of my kids was learning about. This is horrible, but I taught it to her. Fuck it. I was teaching about the compromise of 1850. Fuck it. See, I don't care if she's 7. She's gonna learn that shit. Give a shit. And she said, "Wait, they didn't become a state until 1850 as part of the package of bills?" So yeah, she said, "I was kind of late." I said, "You're damn right. That's exactly right." That's insane. And what I saw was, if you want African revolutionary politics, you need to leave this black Anglo-American bullshit and get back to Afro-Latino. And this is what I realized why so many people like me were threatened by the Afro-Latino. That's the problem. We were threatened